Hello, lovely people. Welcome to the Extreme Wise Predictions channel. In this video, I'm gonna give you my September 2025 psychic predictions for the world. Um, you can see that we are in a new settings. I'm not in my regular settings at this moment. On traveling on trips, like I told you guys already, and I'm also preparing something very big. So I normally do in November I normally do my yearly predictions where I do predictions for most countries. So if you want to be part of, or if you want your country to be part of some of these predictions that I do on a yearly basis, put them in the comment section and also follow my other social media handles. So I'm going to have my social media handles in the video description. So look for the video description and also start following my other social media handles where I'll start putting out exclusives and things that, before I do my monthly predictions, I will put them on those social media handles. So follow those social media handles, and I'm going to choose additional maybe 5 countries in addition to the ones I normally do predictions for. So if you want to be part of it, follow my other social media handles, like, comments on this video as well. And I'm going to take 5 of those countries that have been, mentioned in the comment section to add it to my world predictions for 2026. If you are new to the channel, kindly like, subscribe, and also don't forget to turn on your notification bell so that you can get notified when I post similar videos like this. Also, don't forget the thumbs up is very, very important so that YouTube can recommend this video for those who like contents like this. Let's get into the video. Before I even forget, we are going to still resume on the answer Mondays. Those who have questions already pending will be answered in our answer Monday. If you want your answers or if you want your questions also to be answered, put them in the comment section on this video. Let's get into the video. So I've heard a lot of people who have been talking about Rapture, coming in September 2025. I can tell you boldly that there's going to be any Rapture this year, especially in September 2025. I don't see that happening. If there's a possibility of any Rapture happening, that has to be that the third temple has to be built. The third temple has to be built. If you see that the third temple has fully, completely been built, then there will be a possibility that rapture will occur. But at this moment, I don't see any rapture happening in 2025. I don't want to give a lot of details apart from the ones I have said already, since this kind of information is very sensitive. But let me include this. You also have to see that when AI has become the Antichrist, that will be a possibility that rapture will occur. So those are the 2 clues that I'll give you, but I'm not going to include any other clues to this. So in August 14th, I think 2025, Meta, that is the formerly known as Facebook, confirmed their internal documents exposing ethical violation was leaked. I've made a prediction previously about a company having their internal documents. I'll add that video into this video. So let's go watch that video and come back. So I also see that an internal document exposing ethical violation of a major tech company will be leaked, and it will cause their stocks to dip severely. But this company will recover after a full leadership restructuring happening in their company. So you see, I made those predictions about, a big tech company having their internal documents actually being leaked. And this is what I was talking about. So in this regards, which I already predicted about, that this will cause their stocks to dip severely, and there will be a lot of public speculations. But the company is going to be recovering after a full leadership restructuring. So there's going to be a full leadership restructuring with Meta at this moment, and that is what I see happening. Let me make some, quick and overview predictions of the US because I'm, preparing for my 2026 predictions. in the US, I have already been predicting about the power grid. There's major cities within the US will have power grid issues or power issues that was going with blockage. And I see already that happening. I'm seeing that this is going to continue. I've already made predictions mentioning the states that will be experiencing this, and this is already happening. So you can watch Adam or some of my videos that I already predicted and mentioned those cities that will be experiencing these things happening. And I also see that the US population will collapse. The population of the US will collapse, where most of the women will refuse to give birth uh, due to the hardship of within the economy. So the economy is going to, experience some hardship where women within the United States is going to be refusing to actually give birth. So those, states that have banned like abortion and stuff like that, they will go to do different states to actually do their abortion. So these things are going to be happening, and the population of the US is going to dip actually. There's going to be in the headlines in US, there's going to be headlines of US federal debt hitting a record high, and this is going to hit the news. And I see that this is actually going to actually continue, where the debt ratio that we have in terms of our federal debt will hit a record high. US crime rate will drop. The crime rate, surprisingly, US crime rate will drop to the lowest in decades, and I see this happening. That the crime rate in the US will drop significantly. And I also see that there's going to be a massive layoff in the US in terms of federal employees are going to be laid off. This will lead to unemployment hitting a record high. So a lot of federal employees are going to be laid off. I don't know if it's happening already, but this is what I see, that it's going to be a massive layoff in terms of federal employees. Whilst I said that, I also kind of heard the word recession. So I don't know, but US is failing to recognize that they are currently in a recession. And I feel in my spirit that we are in recession at this moment, but the government or the government is refusing to accept the fact that we are currently in recession. So I feel that US is currently experiencing recession, but we have, failed or refused to accept the fact that this is happening. I also see that US and Russia, you see that US and Russia or US and China. I just had miscommunication right now. I think it's US and Russia will have a sudden trade agreement, which will spark excitement and suspicion as well. But the implication will slowly uncover over time. So they are going to have a trade deal, which the implications of this trade, I don't want to go deeper into this, but I will also maybe include it in my world prediction for 2026. So the implication will unfold over time. So this is what I see. I also see that like I already predicted about this already, that there's going to be a new public interest in gold and silver, which is already happening. And I see that it will still go up. The prices of gold and silver will surge and go up highly, but I'm not going to give any price predictions. I also see, like I already told you guys about Bitcoin already, Bitcoin will have velocity, but it's not going to dip that low. It's always going to go up. Like it's always, this year is for Bitcoin to actually go up. Next year, Bitcoin will dip and it will come relatively low. But this year, up to November, December of 2025, Bitcoin is going to be at a record high. This is what I don't like giving price point, because people use this video to, do financial decisions, and I'm not licensed to give that information yet. I also see that Keir Starmer will leave power by a scandal or some crisis. I see already this happening. I have made predictions, and in some of my answer Monday, I gave some details about he leaving, and I said that he will leave actually in October thereabout. And I see that this is very close for it happening. and it is very important. And I see that there's going to be a momentum that is going to be gained. And when you see that there's a momentum within the economy or within the country being gained, that is the time that, Keir Starmer is actually going to leave. And there's going to be a political shift, climate shift, and then there's going to be transparency coming for the UK. And this I see happening. I see that there's going to be a movie that will be released, which is widely anticipated. This movie will face challenges due to hidden symbols. So, this movie, when it's being released, there's going to be hidden symbols within the movie that will be noticed by the public. And this will lead to conspiracy theories and passionate debate about the deeper meaning of this symbol. So I see this happening in a movie. Whilst I'm talking about that, I also see that there's going to be an African country. I'm getting the word Morocco will rise into the spotlight on the world stage after a major breakout in sustainable energy. I made this prediction a while ago, I think in my May or June prediction, where I stated that there's going to be an African country that will break out in sustainable energy. And this country is going to be Morocco. That's the word I hear. And I also see that Chile will announce a groundbreaking water preservation that will take a global stage. And I see that other countries will also copy from what they have done. So Chile is going to have a groundbreaking water preservation that they are going to be doing. So they're going to be announcing this, and other countries will also try to emulate what they have done. I also see that there's going to be a female actress who has retired, I think, decades. Uh, she will come back, or she'll come back from being silent or being retired and accept a role in an independent film. She's going to claim this as her continuous having dreams about, she not finished, or she's had an unfinished business in acting, and she's going to be taking this role in the sight of actually completing her career in filming or in acting. This is what I see actually happening. And I see this, that, she's going to be taking up a new role in this. I don't want to mention any names, but I see this actually happening. I think also that there's going to be, I've been predicting this and this a lot, and I see that there's going to be a herbal remedy that is found in plant and herb that will gain a widespread attention as an effective treatment for chronic pain and its ability to reduce inflammation. This herbal remedy will offer relief with minimal side effect and lower cost. I see this happening. And then the plant's property will also support energetic healing. I see this happening. Also see that a high class celebrity couple will announce like a mutual separation, claiming their decision was mutual. So the truth will involve that one partner has the desire to pursue spirituality and a different life in that regards. So that is what I see, that they will say that this is mutual, their separation is mutual, but I see that, one of their couple will like to, follow or have or pursue for spirituality and a different lifestyle than what they are currently experiencing. A well-known musician will release an album. I see a well-known musician release an album that was entirely created during their vacation. They will claim that the song came through meditation and they had nothing to write. It was not premeditated where they had, written down the song. They will say that it came through straight directly from meditation and nothing else was actually written on paper. I see also that in some part of, I think it's the Midwest of US. This includes states like Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Ohio, Wisconsin. I think that I see that there's going to be a frost, like an early frost, which will affect late summer crops, and there will be a discussion about climate shift. I see this happening, that there's going to be an early frost that is going to affect their crops for late summer, and this will spark discussions among um, a lot of people. There's going to be a publication by researchers suggesting that plants communicate in many ways, or ways most consider impossible. This will lead to discussions about consciousness, that, there will be a possibility that plants do communicate with us in many ways that we think is impossible. And this is going to spark a lot of debates or a lot of discussion about consciousness, where they are comparing other elements or other living nature things that also communicates with us in that regards. There's going to be some dynamics when it comes to medicals or medical technology, which will make it possible for this medical technology to detect, I think, chronic illness years before the symptoms even okay. I think I've made this prediction before, where a device is going to be actually developed within the medical sector, where it is going to be very possible for it to detect, chronic diseases that will occur in your life in the future, so that you can take precautions. And this is going to change the landscape of preventive cure. And this I see happening. Smaller community focused banks. I see that in other communities, the smaller communities focused banks will gain some popularity over the large scale banks, due to their shift in banking practices by the smaller community banks. So I see the names of smaller community banks hitting the news based on the fact that they have changed certain practices or banking practices, and this will overshadow the larger banks in the near future. There's going to be a new approach in treating emotional trauma, where doctors will start taking emotional trauma histories more seriously in diagnosing physical condition, which will lead to more successful approach to healing. So this doctor's new approach is going to be beneficial to people who are experiencing emotional trauma, and be able to help them, with their physical conditions. Oh, I see there's going to be an awakening happening, where some group of scientists will begin discussing the possibility of consciousness existing separately from the brain. This will hit mainstream. The scientists will begin discussing that consciousness is actually not part of the brain, but it's a special, or is a separate entity on its own. And this discussion will hit mainstream, and everybody will be talking about it. There's going to be a new promising treatment also. I always talk about this. This is a brain disorder that slowly destroys the memory and thinking skills. So, which will show that there's certain frequency that will help this brain disorder, or patients having this brain disorder, recover memory, increase their verbal clarity, and also reconnect emotionally with loved ones. I see this happening. I know it is in the work, but it will hit mainstream, and everybody will be coming kind of benefiting from this happening. I already been predicting about this, that there's going to be eruption of those in the Pacific rim, or the Pacific Ocean, the rims or the edges of the Pacific Ocean. I see that there's going to be a rise and then fall of those sea levels, and this is going to be happening, and this is also going to be affecting, I think, the rise of the moon, and then the rise of the sun as well. And I see this happening. I have already been predicting about this, and I already see it started happening in other states already, and this will still continue like I predicted in my previous videos. There's going to be an emergency water conservation measures in several countries in Southeast Asia that will experience longer than usual dry spells. and I see this happening in most of the Southeast Asian countries, and this is going to be happening. I don't know if it is already happening, but let me shift my attention to I think in Trinidad and Tobago. Whilst I'm saying in Trinidad and Tobago, I think that the president experienced like an assassination attempt, and right now as I'm viewing, I'm also seeing that there's going to be another assassination attempt. I also see that after this assassination attempt, they are going to discover who is behind this plot in terms of trying to assassinate the president. And I see this happening. Whilst I spoke about assassination attempt, I was thinking maybe Trinidad and Tobago is a very nice country. That's my um, impression before this prediction. But I'm picking things strangely in terms of the fact that I think other countries will put like a travel ban on Trinidad and Tobago due to the rise of terrorism and kidnapping. I don't know if this happens in Trinidad, but I'm seeing that terrorism and kidnapping is happening in Trinidad. I'm having a strange vibe for Trinidad and Tobago at this moment. And I also see that Trinidad and Tobago will discover oil or gas. I think there's going to be like a finding in the research program in deeper waters, and this will lead to a discovery of oil and gas within Trinidad and Tobago. And I see this happening very, very soon. I also, whilst I'm talking about something in terms of kidnapping, corruption, and other things like that, I also see like there is a former vice. Is it a FIFA vice president in Trinidad and Tobago? His name comes in as Jack Warner, that I see that he's going to be extradited to the US, and he's going to face the law for his accusation in terms of corruption. And I see this happening. I don't feel is this year, but I feel like in 2026, I see this happening as well in 2026 or maybe late 2025, but I strongly have the feeling for 2026. There's going to be a rise in the shooting and crime among teenagers, which may include robbery in Trinidad and Tobago. I see this happening in terms of within the teenagers. There's going to be a high rate of shooting, a high rate of crime and robbery among the teenagers within Trinidad and Tobago, and this is happening. Also see that there's going to be like a dangerous fire outbreaks in Trinidad and Tobago. This will cause power outages in most parts of the country. So I don't know if they are experiencing this already, but there's going to be like major fire outbreaks within some parts of Trinidad and Tobago, and this will cause power outages within the country. So within Trinidad and Tobago, I also sense that there's going to be an uncovering of corruption within prisons where prison officers were involved. So I see it as if there are multiple incidences of corruption within the prison where prison officers are actually aiding prisoners to carry out some duties. I don't want to mention any specific anything, but I see them aiding the prisoners in carry out specific things, and this was going to be uncovered, and this is going to hit mainstream media in Trinidad and Tobago, and I see this happening very, very soon. Whilst I say about that, I see also that in Trinidad and Tobago, there's going to be some measures. I don't know if the government is placing these measures in place, but there's going to be measures put in place for newborn children um, whose mother is affected or have HIV or AIDS, so that their moms will not transmit these viruses to the kids or to the newly born kids. I see them having kind of something develop in that regards where they'll put some policies in place or something in place. I'm not picking it up strongly, but I'm seeing that they'll put some policies in place to prevent, you know, newborn children's moms who have HIV or AIDS to transmit it to their kids. I think that's what I'm picking, and that's the interpretation I can get. I also see that the health sector in Trinidad and Tobago will collapse or will face a lot of massive issues, and I see this happening very soon. I also see that even with all the calamities happening in Trinidad and Tobago, there are going to be an announcement of new housing project that is going to be announced by the government. I don't know if they are experiencing immigration problems, but that is what I see, that in Trinidad and Tobago there is going to be a new housing project that's going to be announced. Let me also go into like Belgium and see what is happening in Belgium. Let me see what I can pick up whilst I vibrate into the country of Belgium. I think when I spoke about the immigration thing for Trinidad, I'm just picking up that there's going to be border issues in Belgium. I don't know that there are border issues in Belgium where the government will try to tighten in their border issues in Belgium. That's what I'm picking up, that there's going to be border issues and illegal migration, and then also asylum seekers. So they were going to be tightening their borders for to prevent illegal migration and also asylum seekers coming through the country. I also see that whilst I say asylum seekers, I also see that the asylum seekers cases will rise even with the measures in place to actually handle the border crisis. So I see that there will be a rise in asylum cases in Belgium, and I see this happening. I also picking up due to the increase in the population. I don't know, but I don't know if there's an increase in the population in Belgium, but I'm seeing something like it has already happened, that due to the increase in the population in Belgium, the cost of rent will go relatively high, maybe up to like 20%. That's what I'm feeling, that maybe up to like 20%, which will make it very difficult for low income earners to pay their rent. This is what I'm picking up, that there is going to be this in Belgium. I'm also picking up that I think there's going to be a protest, or there's an ongoing protest. I don't know, but I think that their economy is collapsing, so there's going to be a lot of protests in Belgium. But let me see if I can pick it up strongly whilst I'm going down the other things I have for Belgium. But I see that in Belgium, Belgians will also continue to aid Ukraine while their country continue to collapse. Belgium is still going to put a lot of money in helping Ukraine whilst their country collapse. There's going to be strikes and protests in Belgium. That's what I see happening. There's going to be major strikes, major protests in Belgium, and I see this actually happening. And I also see that the growth on unemployment will rise and the economy will collapse, and people will find it difficult to find jobs. So anyone that is living in Belgium, this will be my greatest advice, that try to maintain your current job. Leaving your current job or getting fired from your current job will make it very difficult for you to land a new job, because I see that the unemployment rate will actually surge. If it has not started already and you want to change your job, try to get or try to learn a new job, go through all the necessary procedures before leaving your current job, because if you leave, it's going to be very difficult for you to find a new job. I don't know if this is happening already. And I see also that I think in Brussels, Belgium has a, I think it's Brussels, that there's going to be a rise in shooting and violence in Brussels. And I see this already happening. I'm picking it up that in Brussels, there's going to be a lot of shootings and a lot of crime happening there, and a lot of violence happening there. And I also see that the climatic change in Belgium, or the temperature or the climate temperature in Belgium, will be unbearable. It looks like they have a mixed climate where people were finding it unbearable to cope or something like that. I see this happening. And I also strongly, whilst I'm talking about that, I'm seeing that there's going to be like a railway that is going to be reopened. Like it was closed and it was reopened. That's what I see. Maybe it's not that significant. Maybe it's meaning something else, but that is what I see, that if they have a railway that was closed, then I see that that railway is going to be open. After, there's going to be like a discussion. I see a group of people in a room having some discussion, and it was like they ordered the railway to be open, and I saw it being opened. That is what I see. This is my prediction for September 2025. If you are new to the channel, kindly like, subscribe, and also don't forget to turn on your notification bell. Thank you guys for watching.